Welcome back to another edition of the Rogue Roundup, where I give my specs for Legacy, Modern, Pioneer, Standard, and Commander for cards that I think are going to go up. Starting off this episode, we're going to take a look at Pioneer, and for Pioneer, I've picked Elspeth Conquers Death. I could have easily picked this for Standard, but I actually like this for Pioneer long term. Elspeth Conquers Death has a lot of synergy with the companion Yorion, as it's a great flicker target, but beyond that, it's going in Mono White Devotion, and it's going in a lot of control shells and mid-range shells, so that's good news for Elspeth Conquers Death long term. Like I said, it's also seeing a lot of play in Standard, so I do like these double-dipping cards, and Theros has now been replaced with Ikoria as the current set. Usually when this happens, that's when cards, especially in the modern, standard, pioneer type formats, have the opportunity to start going up. So currently it is going for about $1.50, and I target these at $1. The spread is pretty decent, with some buy lists already paying 75 cents, and it's a good place to move some Card Kingdom store credit if you actually have credit with them at the $1.29 they're asking for it. Next up, let's take a look at Commander. For Commander, I've chosen Pull from Tomorrow, mainly due to the fact that Ikoria Commander decks are going to be released this week, at least wave number 1, and people are going to be looking to be upgrading their Ikoria Commander decks. So Pull from Tomorrow actually goes in a lot of the blue commanders from this set. There are going to be a couple of them that work off of drawing and discarding cards, and there's even one that works off putting X into spells. So I think that one particularly, as well as the drawing the second card per turn, is going to put Pull from Tomorrow. And if you actually check out EDH Rec, Pull from Tomorrow is being used in most of these versions of the people who have already put their lists up for these commanders. So the current buy list price is, the spread's pretty good too. Card Kingdom paying 90 cents. The current price on TCG Player is about $1.50. And so the spread is where you want it to be for a card to start going up in value. It's been flat. This has been a popular commander card for quite some time. Any of these sort of spells are always popular, and this is one of the better ones, being usually about a mana short of what the other ones like Blue Sun Zenith cost, and at instant speed this is a lot better than some of their sorcery speed. So I like the long-term outlook for Pull from Tomorrow for EDH. Next up is Modern, and for Modern I've chosen Eladamri's Call. I like this card because of the amount of synergy that it is having in many of the Vizier combo decks or the Icefang Kotal Soul Herder decks. So this is going to be tutoring up the specific piece that the Vizier combo decks need, or the Soul Herder decks need, to go infinite at that point. And it's one of the better cards in, this is like a Demonic Tutor for, what is a Demonic Tutor for creatures at the cost of just 2 mana. So any green-white deck that runs creatures, especially creature combos, is going to be wanting to use this card. So the popularity continues to increase in Modern. It's outclassed a lot of cards that used to play this role, like the Eldritch Evolution or the Court of Calling, as it's just a very efficient card, being instant speed as well. And so this card has started to increase in value, and I'm thinking it's really going to start increasing the value as people start to go back to Modern. There was a point where we had a huge sell-off of Modern staples, but it seems to be the trend is over, that people are getting back into Modern. Pioneer is losing a lot of its popularity that it once had, and this makes it a good time to get into these sort of staples. And I think that this card in particular has proven itself as a staple for years to come. It gets better and better with more cards in the mix, so the more creatures there are, the better this card gets as an option to go tutor it up. So I like this card at the price point. The spread is pretty reasonable, with the best buy list being $1.75 and the TCG market price being $2.50. So I try to target these in the middle there at $2, and I think this one's going to increase very quickly. Another thing about Modern Horizons is Modern Horizons is ending its age as far as being available at distributors. Distributors have run out of Modern Horizons. I believe there's only 2 distributors out of the 5 that I use that have Modern Horizons left, which means that there won't be a lot of supply that keeps getting added to the secondary market. So I think picking up these particular cards right now is a smart call. Up next is Legacy. Usually I don't like to pick cards that only have one format that they see play in. So Caracas is a card for Legacy, but it's banned in Commander. Usually when I choose Legacy cards, that means that they're played somewhere else, like Standard or Pioneer or Modern or even Pauper. This one isn't available in any of those formats due to either being banned or just isn't in the card pool. Caracas, however, has been going in every deck in Legacy. Now, there probably will be a ban list for Legacy, but I am not thinking that this is going to go down from its current current price after Luris or similar cards are going to be banned. So Karakas is playing the role right now in Legacy that even decks that do not have white in them are splashing Karakas to take care of opposing Lurises, or Sultai Luris, for example, is just throwing this in to be able to bounce their Luris to protect it against removal. So it's just basically a one-of in all the Legacy decks, which is why I expect this card to start rising. And what I like most about this is there is basically no spread. Card Kingdom buy list is paying $11 for this, whereas TCG Market is about $11.25. So I think if you can get in on that, about $11, match Card Kingdom's buy list, this something has to give, where either the TCG Market price will increase or the Card Kingdom buy list will increase or go down, decrease. But I don't see that scenario happening like I think that the TCG Market price going up would occur. This has only been printed in 2 master sets, and I don't think that this is going to see a printing anytime soon, especially since it's not legal in Commander. Wizards has changed their focus more over to cards that actually are available in Commander, and I think that the days of printing these in Eternal Masters and Iconic Masters and Masters sets in general, I could see this possibly in like a layer, but again, without the Commander having the demand for this card, I don't see this having a printing anytime soon. That leaves our best spec this week to Grafters Cage. This is for Standard, and that's why I picked it over Elspeth Conquers Death, because Grafters Cage is going to be spiking soon. It is a hard answer to Winota and Luca decks, which are plaguing Standard, and is also very good against the Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven combo, as well as any of the Luris decks that are trying to get a lot of value out of recasting cards from their graveyard. So Grafters Cage is a very minor investment, just 1 mana, and opponents cannot cast creature spells from their graveyard, or creatures can't even enter from the graveyard or from their library. So Winota, Luca, they keep getting more and more share of the meta. I do expect Agent of Treachery to get banned, or I don't know, maybe it's just Fire's Invention at this point, so it might leave less demand for Grafters Cage. But as I stated previously, I like cards that have implications in other formats. This has been a mainstay in Modern for a long time, and there are seasons, there are metas where Grafters Cage is an absolute all-star, but I can't really think of a meta where Grafters Cage just isn't in decks. There will always be a deck that's going to be running this in the sideboard. Pioneer also has been starting to play more and more Grafters Cage over things like Tormod's Crypts, as you need something that just comes out and has that static ability of stopping things from re-entering the battlefield. So I like Grafters Cage long term. The price is very, very low. The only thing that I would caution is this could possibly in Core 2021 if they want to continue to have these hate cards as answers for future standards. But since it did just have a reprint in Core 2020, it might be a while before this one gets reprinted. So I think getting in on $1.50 is pretty smart. The spread is also very reasonable, with Card Kingdom buy list paying $1. And the TCG market price about $1.50, $1.60. And then older versions are actually stabilized pretty well. So these are the lowest copies currently, being the Core 2020. So these are the ones most likely to start going up the quickest. I hope you enjoyed this list of cards from this week's episode of the Rogue Roundup. Be sure to check back next week. Or if you're a fan of this type of financial content, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. What are your 5 cards you're going to be investing in? Be sure to check out my other channel over at roguedeckbuilder.com for our weekly Market Monday episode. Thanks for watching.